Okay, Boiler Mechanic, Weekly News Roundup. Today, I want to focus on what's going on in Haiti. I've talked about Haiti before. Psyop's dad was in Haiti, and Psyop's dad did Psyop's things in Haiti. And I've relayed a couple stories about that. And that gave me a. Haiti made quite an impression on him. And it made an impression on me through him. And so I've always been interested in Haiti as a result. And I've been keeping track of this story. So let's talk about a brief timeline of events. There was a UN mission to Haiti that was approved last year, in which a few nations, most notably Kenya, were approved to go to Haiti, send armed, they call them police officers. What's the difference between a police officer and a soldier when they're armed? I don't know. But police officers to Haiti to help bring Haiti back under control. The reason Haiti is out of control right now, it seems to me, is because the assassination of the previous president by the name of Moise was extremely dubious, to say the least. President Henry, maybe that's pronounced differently in French or Haitian, and those are two different languages, by the way. Haitian and French are barely intelligible, mutually speaking. But so I use that sort of distinction there, just to be exact. So, President Henry, I'm going to call him, it might be Henri, was second in line to the presidency, and he was killed in an assassination that was very, very strange, involving a man who organized it from the United States, from, I believe, Delray Beach, Florida, not too far from where I live. And, by the way, he was extradited to the United States. He was in Haitian custody, and then he was extradited to the United States. And he's sitting in Miami right now on lesser charges. On lesser charges, nothing to do, like something like trafficking weapons. That's very strange to begin with. Now, there were supposed to be elections on the 7th, I believe. But apparently the current president or prime minister, he's a prime minister. The current prime minister couldn't come to an agreement on how to conduct those elections with his opposition. And he pushed back the election. That's when protests began, starting here on this is from January. So this is when that police mission involving Kenya, Barbados, a few other countries, was basically scuttled by the Kenyan Supreme Court. The Kenyan Supreme Court ruled that the president or Prime Minister Ruto of Kenya, they could not do the mission because the agreement was not reciprocal. And under Kenyan law, there has to be a reciprocal agreement. So it was blocked by the Supreme Court of Kenya. Here we have a story talking about how the Haitian people were things were starting to get restive at that point. Things had kind of calmed down a little bit, apparently, when the potential deployment of troops to help bring the situation under control was still valid. Then we head into February, and we start to see protests begin because this is an interesting story, by the way. This was a side story that United States basically has destroyed the local rice production business and forced U.S. rice exports on Haiti, which have high levels of arsenic. That's an interesting story besides the fact. So here we have in February, things are starting to get restive. This story here from last week, this story was the first incident report we've seen in a while involving Jimmy Cherizier, a former elite police officer known as Barbecue, who now runs a gang federation known as G9 and Family and Allies. So G9 and Family and Allies claimed responsibility for the attacks. This was an attack on some police officers. Now, this is important. The media portrays Jimmy Cherizier as a gang leader. But as far as I can tell, my humble opinion, he looks to me from the outside looking in, based just on the reporting I see, he seems more like a vigilante group leader, much like the Guardian Angels in the 70s and early 80s. What tends to happen is when police stop doing their job, generally speaking, citizens start to step in and do it for them. We had that problem in the major cities of the United States, like New York in the 70s and 80s. And the same thing has happened in Haiti. Notably, I have seen little evidence, if I haven't seen any evidence, of Cherizier being involved in harassing or hurting innocent civilians. He tends to attack other gangs, what he sees, I suppose, as actual criminal gangs. We had an incident last year where a bunch of gang people were rounded up supposedly by civilians and burned to death on a pile of rubber tires. And I believe Cherizier's people were involved in that. So it seems like, to quote, correct me if I'm wrong. So it seems like he attacks criminal gangs, corrupt police, as he calls them, which means all police in Haiti, more or less, and government. And he has sort of led the armed resistance against this President Henry. So moving on to this week, the week started last Sunday with an attack on one of the largest prisons in Haiti. The responsibility for the attack was claimed by Cherizier. Something like 2,000 to 3,000 prisoners escaped. Now, understanding how corrupt the Haitian justice system is, I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say it's likely that many, if not most of these people that were in prison or being held under charges, because most of them weren't even convicted of a crime yet. Only like 400 of them, I believe, were actual convicts. The rest of them were awaiting charges. Who knows how long they had been awaiting charges. The media, that's mentioned in one of these articles. You have to really parse through these articles because the media is trying to portray Jimmy Cherizier as a gang leader, as I've said, but he seems more like a vigilante. Notably, in this prison break on Sunday, the group of assassins, Colombian mercenaries and such, that were involved in the former president's assassination did not take the opportunity to escape during the attack. Rather, they hid in the prison and called the police for help. That's a notable detail, and it's mentioned in a few of these articles. They try to use that tidbit to portray the attacks as scary or whatever, the prison break as scary. But it really goes to show you that there's something really fishy about that. Why would people being held in a prison, being held on charges of assassinating the former president, their goose is cooked? Why would they hide in the prison and call the police for help? There's something really fishy about that. And I don't know if I've mentioned this already. I'm kind of scatterbrained today. But the man, I think I did. The man who organized this, just to recap, organized this assassination from the United States, was in Haitian custody too, and he was extradited. And I've also been following this to the degree that a lot of the prosecution cases that have been coming up over the assassination seem to be frivolous prosecutions targeting Prime Minister Henry's political opponents. He even charged President Moise's wife. So the former president's wife, he charged with involvement in the assassination. A lot of people were like, what is this about? So I got a collection of reports here and some brief explanations. U.S. tells citizens to leave Haiti. This is from the 4th. On the 5th, another prison was overrun. And the main international airport in Port-au-Prince is being attacked. Okay, so I need to stop here and say, basically what happened is the Prime Minister announced that he was going to postpone the elections again. And then he took off. He flew to Kenya, okay, and hung out in Kenya. And the excuse was they're going to come up with a new agreement because the Supreme Court of Kenya had annulled the previous agreement. Right after that, that's when the violence starts to break out. Back here, I believe this is from Thursday. So the protests start to break out last Thursday. That was right after he left. I think he actually was left because of the protests. Correct me if I'm wrong. But so he announces he's going to hold off the elections, postpone the elections. He skips town. He goes to Kenya. The situation deteriorates. The first prison is attacked, overrun. Then the second prison is attacked, overrun. The international airport is attacked. Barbecue Cerisier claims responsibility for all these attacks. He says his goal is to keep the president from returning and force him to resign. Notably also, the United States at this point, up until the middle of the week, is very reluctant to suggest that President Henry resign. As I said, the United States backed him from the beginning. The assassination is really fishy. Extradited the organizer of the assassination. Assassins hide in the prison instead of fleeing. Connect the dots. That's all I'm saying. I know what I think about it, but I'm just suggesting connect the dots. Here we have another Miami Herald article. So my impression of Miss Jacqueline Charles here is she's a State Department apparatchik. And her articles, I think it's this one or one of the others. I think it's one of the others. It reads like basically it was dictated by the State Department. They expressed their concerns that if in one of the articles, let me find it. They expressed their concerns here that if President Henry resigns, It will open the door for unfavorable politicians. So this is the words of the State Department through Miss Jacqueline Charles. Unfavorable politicians seeking to step into power in the power vacuum. So they're not even really shy about it. These anonymous officials that helped her write this article say, hey, we're concerned about unfavorable politicians. Unfavorable to who? Well, that means unfavorable to U.S. interests. So they've been very reluctant. Right now, they are. It's apparent that President Henry's going to have to resign. He's never going to be. I doubt he's ever going to be able to return to Haiti. It's too late at this point. The situation has deteriorated too much to recover the situation back to the status quo before President Henry skipped town. People are talking about a U.S. deployment, oh yeah, we're going to deploy troops or something. It's too late for that. That would take too much time. He's going to have to step down. The United States is trying to tell him, oh, just come up with a plan to calm the situation down. Go promise that you're going to do elections, promise them. Well, he's already promised before that he's going to hold elections. So the people of Haiti are not trying to hear that. The rebel groups led by Cherizier are not trying to hear that. So that's what's going on at this moment. I think there was another attack overnight. So, United States airlifts embassy staff out of Haiti. So I've heard conflicting reports here. I've heard that they airlifted people into Haiti to keep the embassy operational. And then saw this report I just pulled off of Google News where they're airlifting embassy staff out of Haiti. So it looks like the United States is withdrawing from Haiti. And again, President Henry's going to have to resign. And there will be no U.S. troop deployment here. The last thing in an election year that Biden wants is to send troops into Haiti, and there's going to be casualties there. Now, I can tell you in the 1994 mission to Haiti, something like 20 or 30 troops were killed. The Clinton administration called it gang violence, would not rule any of them as killed in action, and said it was just gang. It wasn't in the process of combat or whatever, so that was their way out of it. So we withdrew. There was a special forces NCO that was killed, and shortly after that, I think they started to withdraw. And my dad, PSYOP's dad, knew that special forces staff sergeant. I think he was sergeant first class. So if we were to go in there, it wouldn't help the situation. The deployment from the Kenyan troops or police officers or whatever they're going to call it is a long way off. Also notable, very interesting. I asked people to connect the dots themselves. This Kenyan official who was going to be the leader of the group of police officers going to Haiti to do the deployment, I guess he was in the United States trying to discuss the matter, and come up with a plan on how to get these, what we're going to do and all that. He was found dead in a D.C. hotel room. And I haven't heard much else about that. The Metro Police responded with their natural squad. I guess that means natural death squad. I don't know. You can't trust anything that goes on in DC. So this guy was found dead. It's just more. It just gets richer and richer the more you look into this. So I'm too scatterbrained to really come up with a concise analysis, but that won't stop me from trying. So here you go. So my analysis is, my humble opinion is, that the previous assassination, this is my opinion, so that's all I can say. The previous assassination had some U.S. involvement. Henry wanted to be the president. The United States didn't like Moisey for some reason, so and Henry was the, vice president, essentially, second in line. So they whacked Moisey, and the United States backed Henry right from the get-go. Didn't ask any questions. Backed him right from the get-go. Seems to want to take the organizer of the assassination and get him safely in Miami Federal Prison. Henry has control, has the prime ministership for 3 years now, 2 or 3 years. Keeps pushing off the election. And he was only supposed to be a transitional figure. They were supposed to have elections way back in 2022, I think. Keeps pushing off the elections. People get more and more pissed off. Situation in Haiti continues to deteriorate. There were allegations that the president was actually supporting some of the more violent gangs and was actually covering for some of the more violent gangs. Investigations are opened on all sorts of people regarding the assassination. Over 100 people, including the former president's wife, claiming that the former president's wife was involved in the assassination. Some of these look like frivolous prosecutions that amount to going after political rivals. And then President Henry, once again, because there were supposed to be elections on February 7th, President Henry once again postpones the elections, skips town, goes to Kenya, skips town when the situation starts to go out of control, goes to Kenya, and Cherizier comes in with his group and starts really taking decisive action, more or less. I don't see any evidence of them hurting civilians. As far as Cherizier's group is concerned, they look like vigilante groups again to me. And they state that their goal is to keep the president from returning, forces resignation. And then another guy comes in the middle of this sometime last month. His name is Guy Philippe. He's just got done serving a 6-year prison sentence for apparently money laundering in the United States. And he's coming back and he's looking like maybe he's going to step into power. I don't know much about him. Obviously, if you get prosecuted in the United States, that doesn't necessarily mean it was a legit prosecution. We all know that now, after seeing what happened to game show host and others. So that doesn't make him, illegitimate in my book, and I'm sure not in Haitian people's book either. So he looks like he's going to step in if you can. And President Henry still has not returned. Last time I heard, he was in Puerto Rico. He's been going back and forth to Washington, so he has close ties to Washington. And the United States, basically, the Biden administration is pretty much paralyzed over this. They don't want to deal with it. They don't know what to do. They don't want to tell him to resign. They don't want to help him get back in power. They've just completely dropped the ball on this one, as they do most of the time. So that's where we're at. So my analysis, my prognostication is that he's not going to be able to return to Haiti, and who knows how this situation can work out. I think in this case, the gangs might win. And I'm not sure that'll be great, because that'll be rather chaotic. Like I said, I think Cherizier's intentions are good, but the unintended consequences of this for Haiti are going to be bad, it looks like. So, but it had to be done. And it looks like Cherizier has the broad support of the population. And I think he's going to win this fight. I don't see any other way around it. I don't see any troops getting deployed. I don't see any of that happening. Not in an election year. The elections matter more than anything else to these politicians. So that's my simple analysis. I'm very scatterbrained today, but that's the best I can do. Anybody can go to the maps and go do their own research and try and come to their own conclusions. So I'm going to spare going over the rest of the map. I'll link it in the YouTube. We have about 40 different articles here this week, and I'm going to call it a video. So I am out.